I was working around with my photos, and they're popping out of everywhere as we unpack things again, and I found this single photo. It's a Polaroid of a night that I was working the campus security at Adrian College, and there was a issue in one of the labs, and I'll talk to you later, but I ended up with a Burmese python around my neck. It was a pretty good night. So as I was looking at the photo, like I said, it's an aged Polaroid, and I was trying to pull some colors to make this an interesting layout. I didn't want to do just kind of black and white or tone on tone. And so I found this in the Love Each Day Cricut collection from Close to My Heart, and I thought, oh, I kind of like that, because I wasn't sure how you embellish a page with just me holding a Burmese python, and it's not at a zoo. And so I went back to that Serenity paper from Close to My Heart, pulled out the blue because it worked with my denim jeans and my jacket, and then I was very specific on where I wanted to cut those images from the Cricut collection, and you'll get to see those later. So while the Cricut is working, I thought I'd go ahead and apply some gesso to the base page, and I chose the old bamboo color for my base page because, again, the photo is a little aged and it wouldn't hold up well. It just kind of got lost with a white background. So by using this happens to be a hotel room key, but something flat, you can put a really thin coat of gesso down, and that's going to let the watercolor medium work later. So here's the cut, and like I said, I took the ombre paper from Serenity and I was specific on how I cut it, and now I'm just kind of marking the edges where I know that the paper is going to be covering it. And the one mark didn't show up, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that on there. So now I kind of have an idea of where I need to put some of the watercolor for this layout. And this is going to be a mixed media. We're going to do watercolor, we're going to do textured paint that I tint with ink, and then I'm also going to stencil through just with a blending tool and ink. So a blop of the colored water got in the corner there, but as long as you're pretty quick on absorbing it up, it won't leave too big of a mark. So here, for me, it's kind of funny. As you put this on, it just looks like blue water. But as it dries, the different colors in the water and the pigments from the watercolor, they kind of separate and they'll make edges. And without the gesso on this page or some sort of a barrier, it wouldn't flow like this. So it's funny, I've been playing with this without using the gesso, with using acrylic paint, with using gesso, and what I found works for me in my new form of learning mixed media is to use gesso, and it's okay to be generous with the water. So here I'm doing some splatters. I went back in and added some white to the blue that I put on originally. Again, I'm just trying to get some more layers of colors in there without going outside of the blue realm. And I thought I was gonna be patient and let this dry, but I wasn't. So I didn't like how the edges turned out with the gesso, so I grabbed this fan brush. It actually got broken in our move. So I thought, all right, I'm going to use this fan brush to kind of fan out the edges and soften those. And at this point, I'm kind of thinking that I've made a mistake, and I might need to throw out this piece of bamboo cardstock and the work that I've done, because I'm not feeling it. But I got my heat embossing tool out, and I was drying some of those puddles here. You can kind of see how the watercolor effect, or as it dried, really kind of worked, and it's, you don't see it as much here on the screen, but in real life there's a lot of nuances and interest going on here. Again, I'm not feeling the edges, but I was going through and I pulled out this stencil with kind of the arrow mark on it, and that's what I did the texture paint through. But my camera and I weren't talking, that's what that message said. And then I used a different stencil that, if you look in the center, it has like a diamond pattern, but I thought that that looked kind of like the skin for the snake. So for me, mixed media is about adding layers of texture and interest and those kind of things. And so I have my paper, I have the gesso, I have the textured paste, then I have the watercolor, I have stenciling through with just inks, all kind of coming together in this wonderful layout. And now I love how the edges look. I hadn't decided how I wanted to do my journaling, but I knew I had a lot to tell in this story, so I went ahead and typed it up on the computer. And the long and short of the story is, I worked as a safety officer at Adrian College, and I went on duty, and I normally worked the either 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. shift, or a lot of times I did the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. shift because I wasn't a partier, so that was fine. Well, when you go around the campus and you check all the doors to the building. The first building that I came to was the science building, and as I'm walking through the basement, the biology lab, I noticed that the lid was off on some of the habitats for the snakes. And so I called it in, and sure enough, yep, that shouldn't be that way. So they called, some kids, woke them up, got them out of bed, sent them over, and I was just waiting there. So before they could put all the snakes away, they actually had to sanitize everything. And so since they had to sanitize the snakes and everything else, they went ahead and cleaned their habitats out. And I volunteered to hold the big python while they did that. So it was a rough night at work that I just got to enjoy watching other people clean cages and play with an animal. And I know other people don't like snakes at all. I thankfully don't have that problem. But I love how this turned out and the interest in that watercolor. I really wish that I had had the footage to show you. Next time I will get there. Here's how you can connect with me on social media. If you're a subscriber to my channel, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. I always get a smile when I see a new subscriber, and that's just awesome. Here's another video you may be interested in, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.